Hi, it's Lisa Walters from Sounds of NorCal, and I'm here with Jeremiah Jacobs from the Heartbreak Time Machine. Welcome to the second episode of the Sofa Sessions.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Absolutely.
I want to talk a little bit today about the band, obviously, and all the exciting things you have going on, but also I'd like to know a little bit about the band name and the concept and how you came up with that.
Well, I'll take the mic.
Yeah, you go right ahead.
Okay, so the official story that we're going to tell publicly is that basically it was during a rehearsal with another band that I used to be in. That was just a cover band, and we were trying to find a name for it, and we had an affinity for all these songs from the late 70s that we were playing, and so there was already kind of like this time machine, and then element kind of just from that, and then the lead singer, this guy Clement Charles, he and I kind of had this joke about we're just a pair of heartbreakers, and because we had a really nice duo set for a long time, and so Clem and I, those words just kind of traveled around for a while, and then we were at a rehearsal at the studio of Rafael Delgado, the artist downtown on S Street, and we were practicing in his studio, and I said the words together. Our band should be called the Heartbreak Time Machine, and I pushed it, and it just never really took with the band as an idea. But then they started calling me that sort of colloquially as friends, and so that they kind of stuck. And then eventually I'm like, well, I have all these songs, and I might as well put them out under this name, because the thing I liked about the Time Machine was that it can go anywhere. I'm not, once I have a time machine, I'm not trapped by genre anymore. I can go anywhere in time, and it's a legitimate proposition as an artist, because it's the time machine.
Yeah. And
the heartbreak thing comes from sort of an adaptation of a Buddhist philosophy about the soul, and it's just a play on it, which is that music heals the soul, and ultimately to heal your soul, I got to break your heart to get to it. And so the Heartbreak Time Machine is a way of taking all of these music and ideas and threads throughout time and history, weaving them together as a way of healing souls, as sort of a continuity. Right. There's a little Tao, a little Buddhism kind of going on, but ultimately that's kind of the concept of it. Is it's just music that gets to come from all points in the universe, and so I get to play everywhere.
Right. Well, that's awesome. A lot going on there.
Sorry.
No, it's great. I mean, I think it's something that viewers will want to know about you and the band, and we'll get more into detail with some of the stuff that's going on with the band, but
I hope they don't have to watch that twice. What did he say?
Rewind. So what experiences inform who you are as a musician today from your life, do you think? Can you point to anything that brings you to this point in your life?
Well, yes and no. I mean, I would have to say, and I don't mean this flippantly, but I would have to say that everything. It's not. I couldn't. I could point at a couple of turning points that I kind of only really see now as I look back far enough. Obviously, the Townhouse open mics that used to be in Sacramento was a big turning point. That's where a lot of my relationships that I have today that are sort of yielding were built back then. And gosh, that's 5-6 years ago, I think, is when we were all down there. So that's a chunk of time to look at and say, well, over that period of time, these were the best decisions I made. We're going there constantly and meeting those people and playing with them, and bettering myself as a performer and building my own set. I mean, a third of what we do today as a band started at the Townhouse with myself and my drummer Seth working out our first songs. That's where we played our first 4 songs together as a band, was right there at the Townhouse open mics. And so I would have to say Townhouse was a big part for us. Wow, I don't know. After that, this seems to be like there was a long period of time. I mean, you kind of personally know that about a year ago, you know, I put it down. I mean, I think you were tangentially aware that I really shelved it, and made a bunch of angry posts on Instagram about taking my T-shirts to Goodwill. By the way, if you want to support Goodwill, original edition Heartbreak Time Machine tees are still hidden there for the treasure seekers among ye. So I would have to say, in a way, that walking away from music for the better part of a year was not only the right thing, but in a way that it was the right, wrong thing to do. I don't even know how to say that again. It was the right, wrong thing to do. And sort of that sabbatical, what it turned into, you know, looking back on it now, it was really a needed vacation in a lot of ways from all the things I had really sort of been doing wrong, a lot of habits that were continuing to drain success from my from me, and ultimately everyone that believed in me. So I had to take a step back and really re-examine, and ultimately that's what happened. At the time I didn't know. At the time, if you're going through something like this where you're, what was that Rochelle DeBell just said the other day on Facebook about she was going to hang up the XLRs in the 1/4 inches or something, and I thought that was a very poetic way of kind of looking at a thing where I'm literally going to put this thing on the wall I'm just going to walk away from it. And for an artist to do that is traumatic, but looking back on that, on what's come after, I realized that was a much needed checkout to re-examine what it was I was doing, who I was with, who I was letting near me, and if I'll just talk openly. You know, so a lot of people know, I guess, and I for all the wrong reasons, I made a horrible Facebook post about 6-something months ago that got a lot of weird attention. But what came of that ultimately was that it shook off some fleas and vampires that apparently needed to be. And it was right after that a number of things changed so fast for us that were already in motion, but it was just that moment, that little explosion I had actually shocked a number of people out of my circle and solidified a number of people that were within it, a number of relationships. So that the fallout from that was really weird. Immediately it felt like I had done something really awful, like the wrong decision. Later it turned out, no, it wasn't so bad.
Sure.
And so this circle I'm kind of getting to about this experience of having checked out, having re-entered as a different person, and taking responsibility for that. That's huge. To take the personal responsibility of saying, this is what I'm going to allow near me, and why, and I will own all the heartbreak and the anger that I create by telling people you can't let people near you anymore. We have a responsibility to ourselves, to the music that we create, to our audiences, to our fans, and that was, I think, the biggest growth explosion. And so looking back, I would say that the checkout followed by a sort of a reinvention and a lot of responsibility about what I was doing and who I was letting be a part of the success and contribute to it, changed everything. And so within, 6 months, I mean, you've been with us for a while, and you were there at Panera when I had a concept, remember? That little weird printout of this CD I'm going to put out, and you're like, fine, I believe in that. And then all of a sudden, a month later, I've got Judith Monroe doing a cover, which turned out to be one of the most beautiful things that's on the shelf. And I say this objectively, it is one of the most beautiful CD covers on the shelf right now. It stands out.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
one of the most beautiful CD covers I've ever seen. So, I mean, it's absolutely stunning. And we've got some posters and things we'll bring out later to kind of show you the concepts.
Can I finish my...
You absolutely can. Go right
So
ahead.
to wrap all this up, all I wanted to say was taking responsibility for yourself involves also relearning how to trust. And when you came into our organization and with just sort of a really and almost all, I mean, technically it isn't, but it is a very, almost an unconditional support that changed how I and we thought about ourselves, and so I started trusting other people. And so if you go to get our CD at Dimple Records, you can look on the back of this thing. The credits are really important. It's all of these people on there brought their faith, their energy to the project, and I feel like I have a huge responsibility to that, and to be picky about who we let near it going forward.
Right.
So learning to trust, and then the decisions that came after that were hiring an artist, trusting them to make something beautiful that ultimately has ended up everywhere, including on this little phone.
Belle is joining us now.
Belle has joined us. Hashtag follow the phone on Instagram. But this reinvention came with the ability to trust and the desire to have people involved. I don't want to be a tyrant running my own kingdom anymore. It's just such a different experience now. Those turning points, so looking back on things that were formative to where we are now, I would have to say it was such a recent reinvention and re-understanding of what I'm doing and what I'm participating in, and who's participating with me and why. 25,000 words.
Well, let me grab this poster back here. I'm going to hand this to you while I grab your beautiful artwork here.
Wait a minute, I stopped talking and they hand the microphone back.
Well, you know. So, let's talk about the artwork here.
Okay.
And right here.
Maybe you can
We
flash
don't
it
have a
back.
camera operator, so this is me with my special effects. This is a smaller version, let me grab this, of the poster that's going to be up on the walls at Dimple. And they've been super supportive of the EP, and I'm assuming they will be also super supportive of the CD when that's ready to be released. But this is the artwork that's on the cover of this EP, and again, available at Dimple Records. And so this artwork sort of does describe you. I mean, it feels very much Jeremiah.
Thank you. I'm not sure how to respond to that. What sense?
Well, I think it has this retro feel, and you're sort of a Renaissance man.
Done.
So,
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Does that cover it?
I can die happy. Hashtag
Hashtag die
Renaissance man.
happy. Yeah.
That's a fascinating. I never thought of. I've never thought of myself in that term before. That's fascinating. So yeah, the themes thematically. The poster has. I'm a sucker for maps. I'm big on cartography.
Oh, cool.
And it's, again, nothing more than just something that strikes my brain. I know almost nothing about the topic. I couldn't speak with any authority about it. All I know is that I like maps. and I also, and kind of my obsession with history and time and the sense of how things change and how we represent that. And yeah, I kind of like the sort of timeless feel of, again, the Heartbreak Time Machine is supposed to be timeless by being able to move around. We'll have posters that come out at some point that are going to look really modern. Actually, we do have some of the other ones that look kind of a more modern look. And sort of what we're trying to do is borrow a little bit from these eras of graphic design, or what might have been a predominant visual theme or manner of creating something. So, one of our plans in the future is we're going to have an artist who does oils paint like a portrait style something. So we have something it's not a Photoshop. It's actually a legit oil painting kind of thing. So we have these sort of ideas all across from time that we're going to borrow from. So yes, this is sort of a compilation of all of that. These ideas of maps, history, evolution of culture, and then sort of an ultimately timelessness.
Right. Well, and then there's Belle, who's obviously timeless and retro, very retro, and she gets around. She's a hustler. She's everywhere.
You know what? So many things I love. This is the thing I love. If I can just make a momentary diversion about design. this is probably one of the best designed things in human history.
Right?
Absolutely, like, it even came, it was so well designed, it came with implications by the way you touched it, handled it. Like, remember, like, if you finished a conversation, there were so many ways to say something about the conversation. Like, I'm just talking, if I end the conversation like this and I go, you can't do that with a mobile.
You can't.
You can't. What are you doing? Are you taking a selfie? What's going on there?
You can't
Or like,
slam the mobile down. Yeah.
you slam a mobile down,
that.
you're filing a warranty claim. Not this. This
And
can
it
take
didn't
your
break.
anger.
That's
It
right.
didn't break. It was built. And this whole, I love the stop right here. You gotta move your the stop right here is everything because you just get angry. And it was built to take the anger. And the other thing about Belle is that she's never going to ask you for a software update.
No.
Belle doesn't need a password, doesn't need you to turn your GPS on, ain't going to make you feel stupid when it takes you to Lucky instead of Ralph's.
I'll tell you a story. Dial phones, just real quickly. My phone number growing up was 390 7 9. Nobody called me ever. It was too long to dial. Yeah, horrible phone number to have as a kid, as a teenage girl. Yeah, here's my number.
I think in 2016, teenagers should be forced to have a phone like this to text.
It wasn't bad enough when
was-
texting was the multiple buttons where you had to get to the letter.
I think the problem in modern culture is the immediacy right now, right?
Serious.
They're teenagers and us, I'm guilty of firing off the dumbest text messages. So if you just had to take a minute to just text it out like this, you would probably really rethink what it was you were taking the time to say.
Right, a lot of mistakes are made in that moment of
Right.
instant texting and pushing that send button.
Belle teaches us so much.
She does.
Belle teaches us so much.
She does. Well, let me grab the poster for the new single that's out right now. And we'll show off this too. So this is,
Well, it's not out yet.
well,
It's coming
it's
out.
on the air.
It's on the air.
It's on the FM radio waves.
Yeah, let's
talk about that.
let's talk about this briefly. So the Time Machine, I have an affection for FM radio, and if I may speak philosophically about it, one of the interesting things about FM, about radio, is it is it is literally from the future. When you hear the DJs, because of the delay involved, it might only be a momentary second, but there's an immediacy about, they say something, it takes a moment to get to you. They're talking from the future. It's just, even how close it is. And the immediacy of it can't be met by anything else. No other medium we have, even, I don't care what you say about YouTube, no other medium can reach as many devices, which incidentally your cell phone has an FM antenna. I know most people don't know this, but every cell phone since the inception of cell phones has to do with E911 legislation that was passed way back in the 80s.
Oh, interesting.
Every cell phone, every mobile device has an FM antenna built into it. You have an app that turns it on, but it has to disable your cell service to use it. But in the event that all of the cell towers go down, there is a massive FM network built into cell phones throughout the United States. Oddly, people didn't know that. So FM is a really, really powerful medium still, just those airwaves. And so my thought about this was to kind of use this song, because the song feels timeless right away. Talk to You. It feels like it's about reaching across time. I haven't talked to you in a long time. I want to reconnect. And FM is an interesting way to connect the radio, again, the immediacy of it. And so we decided with the song that we would put it out exclusively on the radio first. So it's only available right now on 2 stations. One is 98 Rock, which only plays it on Sundays, Sunday nights from 10 to 11 right now. And the only way this song gets into the main rotation on 98 Rock, ladies and gentlemen, is if you just text in ridiculously to get it on the air. So I can't buy that.
No.
Right? I can't buy that. That's just up to the people. But and then the other station is KYDS, which is 91.5, which incidentally, you know, all our love to 98 Rock, but KYDS is the future right now of everything. Those kids, so 91.5 KYDS is the student radio station at El Toro High School.
Yeah.
And these kids, I've been listening for a couple of years, and if you're a musician in Sacramento, you have got to put this station on your #1 and just listen to them and what they're telling you about the future. And it's really the past, interestingly. The kids, and I say this with so much affection, the young people, the internet has changed them and what it is to be a young person, I think, in dramatic ways from when you and I might have been growing up, and almost non-understandable ways. Mm-hmm. And one of the things it did is that it gave this generation access to the best music the culture's ever produced. And they get it. They can tell.
Yeah.
They didn't have to be there to experience Hendrix or the Doors, but just comparing those recordings and what they are, the energy of them, to what they had an option to buy in the 2Ks in the late 90s when they were growing up, they get it. That there's something intangibly different about those eras of music. And what I notice about listening to KYDS is that there's a gap in what they play. The gap starts around, I'm feeling, about 95 to 97 and extends to about 2010. There's just not a lot of music from that space of time that they play very much.
Interesting.
The bulk of their playlist comes pre-95 and all the way back to, they run stuff that was recorded in the 20s. Like at random night, if you turn into KYDS, after they turn on the random thing at night, you'll hear opera followed by blues, followed by death metal, followed by rap, followed by... And the thing that's critical to understand about this for musicians is that genres are dead. And if I could just say something about why a lot of bands are having problems filling bills right now, it's because you're genre heavy. People are sick and tired of 3 heavy metal bands in a row. They're done with it. They're done with 3 Cali rock bands in a row. What they want is a jazz guy and a pop guy, woman or whatever. They want that variety.
Sure.
They're starving for variety. And what's happening right now is venues and bands and promoters are still on the genre model. And you can see it, and you can just see it in the way that posters look. You know, and so anyway, this is my conviction, and I'm putting my organization and our operations behind that conviction. We are trying to do very eclectic presentations with, I forget, where was I going with all this? I made a version about if Sacramento bands could just take one lesson. I'm sorry, I get lost sometimes. This is Heartbreak Time Machine losing the
I think you were talking about the KYDS and the kids and
oh, right.
how they're informing.
Genres are dead, and so and that's something. The point is that so I'm listening to the kids, and what they've taught me is that because genres are dead, artists are free to really use to go everywhere, and that's the message coming from KYDS. That's why I listen to them so often, and I believe in that station, and I believe in FM because the kids believe in it. They believe in this music. They really do, and especially the music that came before about 95 and 97. They play so much classic rock and rap and R&B, and it blows my mind that they love this music.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have thought. It's so easy to write young people off, but they don't. They love great music, and so the freeing thing for us as artists in 2016 is that you don't have to wrap yourself in the shroud of a genre or what used to come with it. We're almost obligated to try new stuff, to just do what lights us on fire, whatever sound, whatever idea from whatever era. We're completely free to choose from all that now, and people will love that. So, FM has taught me that. I believe in FM, we believe in KYDS, so the single is available exclusively on FM until
April
5.
Yeah.
And then it will be out on all the electronic mobile things, and it will sort of which I feel like, again, it's weird. I used to look at Apple and Spotify as like a thing to aspire to be on these, like there was a legitimacy to being on these services.
Yeah.
And now that I've been on them for a while, the experience has been dismal. It seems, from our perspective, Apple is trying to kill the iTunes, absolutely trying to kill the 99-cent model, and there's I understand why Apple wants to do that, but the point is that they're really not a partner to musicians anymore, and it seems that radio is, because it has an interest in our immediacy and us as genuine something other than just a thing to be sold on the store.
Right.
So when we put this out on the Spotify and the iTunes, I honestly feel it loses. It doesn't gain from we don't gain from being on iTunes and Spotify as much as we thought we would.
It just becomes accessible to public who want to download it and listen to it, which is, you know, great, because you can't download something off of FM. Bottom line.
Well, that's not true. Remember? We dealt with that problem. I mean, how did we deal with stuff on FM? We got our cassette recorder out, right?
We did.
We did. No.
Ready, go.
Go, yeah.
Yeah, well, and so that's an interesting perspective and observation, because I think that, you know, the kids are, you know, like you said, don't discount what they're doing or what they're listening to and how...
they're very well informed, surprisingly informed.
Informed and also curious about past music. And so there's this, you know, the new vinyl rage. You know, all the kids are buying vinyl again, and record players are being manufactured again, and you know, and so maybe this is the cusp of going back to the, you know, kind of the good old days. You know.
I feel, I don't know that it's so much as back to the good old days as borrowing the best of the days to build a better future for all of us. I get a sense that so many musical propositions right now are, I use the word legitimate, meaning that putting out a record in 2016 is not insane. It's actually, if you've seen some of the local ones here, I'll name one right now. If you don't have the Dead Birds record that Vinny Guerra and his company put out early this year, you have no idea what's going on in graphic, in packaging and design. It is one of the most beautiful LPs I've ever seen in my life. I mean, it's astounding. They should get a Sammy for just for that. And so the point being that there is a lot to be done with artistic expression in music packaging right now. In fact, the field is so wide open. The jewel case is dead. Thank you, Lord.
Yeah.
Don't ever put a CD in a jewel case. It's a coffin. I trust it's a coffin. So there, I think the cusp we're all feeling is that there's finally a real opportunity for artists to bring everything to market that we couldn't before. It used to be you had to be in a jewel case. There was just functionally no other way to be in a store. But now the record stores in particular, to survive, are looking for really unique products to put on the shelf that differentiate them from something else. So I promise you that what we put out at Dimple, you will never be able to get on iTunes. There's no way. You won't be able to touch it, feel it the same way. The materials are going to matter. The way it smells is going to matter. And all of that. And so I think that we're all feeling kind of like a renaissance. The renaissance that's coming is the opportunity to do really interesting work finally, and there's a place to get paid for it almost everywhere now. You can get paid for it physically at the shows, on the app. Your rivers of nickels can finally be realized, and I think all of these things finally having come together in 2016 is what we're kind of feeling.
That's great. So that's a great segue. Let's talk about some upcoming shows.
Okay.
Let us know where the viewers can see the Heartbreak Time Machine coming up.
The tour, so I'll talk about, while I'm looking up the latest thing here, I'll talk about our tour posters briefly while I stare at my phone. The way we're doing our tour posters is we're doing short edition runs of every time we book about 3 or 4 dates, we go ahead and do another print run. So we do about 15 to 20 copies. The bulk of them are hung in Dimple Records, and then after the edition is expired, what I've been trying to do is sign these for you guys, and we're leaving them at Dimple Records in their little Dimple bin. And so when you go to Dimple and buy the CD, chances are there's going to be a poster you can pick up for free that's signed, and do that.
And they're really beautiful.
They are exceptionally beautiful.
Very
and
beautiful.
I'm not going to give away how we're getting those done other than to say that I had to go outside the country. And the artists that we're using are located in Argentina and Portugal. And they're incredibly talented people, and we're very thankful for everything they've brought to us.
Okay, so let's talk about these dates. Looks like, well, next Wednesday, March 23rd at Powerhouse Pub.
Yep, the 23rd we come back to Powerhouse for the local Licks on 98 series. Actually, and on this one we actually arranged specifically to be the first act that goes on, because we know that our fans like to go home early. So we'll be going on, I believe, right about 8:30, 8:45 on the 23rd.
Perfect. Do you know who else is on that bill?
A band from Sacramento, I believe they're called Lights and Sirens, and then a solo artist called Deep Pools, I believe is on the band.
Awesome. So Lights and Sirens is Brittany Vanessa's band.
The other Brittany.
The other Brittany. And then Friday, April 22nd at Starlight Lounge. Friday, May 6th at PJ's Roadhouse. I believe you booked a Corner Pocket show in April as well.
Here we go. We're looking at the latest edition of our tour poster, which will feature Belle. That's how you'll know it's the latest one. April 22nd, we're at Starlight Lounge with Defiant Circle and One Leg Chuck. 29th, we're at Owl Club in Roseville.
Love the Owl Club.
Yeah, the Owl Club's a neat little spot. They show a lot of love to the locals, and they book, they book some really talented bands to come out there and see. Friday, May 6th, we jump back out to Placerville to PJ's Roadhouse, and I don't know who our guest is going to be on that bill, but we're looking at, it's either going to be Hans Eberbach or Brian Chris Rogers. Both of those guys are amazing.
Awesome.
Friday, May 20th, a couple weeks right after that, we're at the Corner Pocket. So anyway, May's interesting because right after May 20th, we pretty much work every weekend for a while. So May 20th, Corner Pocket, Citrus Heights. June 4th, we are booked at Shanapalooza, which is a little music festival up at Swabbies on the River every year.
Right.
June 11th, we're at the Relay for Life at San Juan High School. This is the American Cancer Society fundraiser. June 18th, we're at First Festival in Sacramento.
Woohoo! Can't wait for that.
Yeah, thank you guys at First Festival. That's a really neat. They have a really neat thing going. It seems. We're really excited about that one specifically. It feels, I don't know. They've been really nice to us, and we like how the poster looks. We like the feel of the event so far. And
did you go last year? I was there. It's a beautiful setting. And this year they've expanded to 2 days and 43 bands.
Amazing.
Which will be completely amazing. Sounds will be there doing on-site interviews. I have to figure out a way to get the sofa out there. Haven't figured that out yet, but we'll be out there.
And the phone.
And
we gotta get the sofa and
Belle
Belle.
will be there, yes. And maybe a chandelier or something fun.
Done. Beautiful. And then, we have some other announcements coming up for the end of the summer, and we're currently trying to book I think what we're going to do is at the end of summer we're going to try to go up in the mountain towns for a little bit and out to the coast, only because I'm old and I just don't want to go anywhere that's uncomfortable.
Well, that is the Road Ready tour for the Heartbreak Time Machine, and look for the posters. You can find Heartbreak Time Machine on Facebook, Instagram. You can listen to Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud. Also, check out 98 Rock on Sunday night, local lick show for Talk to You, and KYDS. Random times during the day for the same song until...
Yeah, again, if you're not listening...
April 5th.
KYDS is absolutely the best thing to listen to. Trust me on this. If you like music, it's amazing. It's like iTunes on random. It is the best thing in life.
Well, I think one of the most fun things about these sofa sessions has been myself getting to learn some new things about the music scene and what's happening, and that's definitely a good recommendation, and I will definitely check it out. And I want to thank you, Jeremiah, for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And we look forward to the next show and rocking out with the Heartbreak Time Machine. Thanks.
Thanks. See you guys on the road.